Dasat igama lami ke ngusisanda nomusa kwaQWABE QOUTAUD intombazane yaphansi kwamhlabi yalingana umfule ngophuza ngiphuza ugelegele kanti inkomo zakithi ngashiya zidla phansi emahlathini asekubandeni kanti ke zona ziphuze ebhudlini umfule ohamba ngeslow motion kwesikwazi bisigodi kula ngibuya khona ke phansi kwamhlabi yalingana. Exactly, it is just after 6 o'clock in the morning. Please, we do appreciate that you have joined us in this beautiful Monday morning. It's a heritage month that we are celebrating, of course, as it is September. Of course, without taking much of your time, now let's give you the news headlines. Practitioners are weighing options following the 10.5 billion pledge to rescue South African Airways. Nehawo accuses Limpopo Premier of paying lip service to fraud and corruption. Commission of Gender Equity, it takes on, or rather equality, takes on IAF on the Semenya's case. And in our international stories, US has ordered ban on Chinese-owned video app TikTok. Now let's give you the first top story. The government at the 11th hour committed again to more than 10 billion rands in funding for SAA just after hours before the creditors' meeting on Friday. But the airline's rescue practitioners are reviewing their options in case the money does not arrive. The Joint Business Rescue Practitioners, Siviwe Dongana and Les Matusang, said on Friday that it must be clear that they are not waiting for the funding. This was why they had presented two suggestions of the wind down or liquidation at the creditors' meeting. The administrators took control of SAA in December after almost a decade of financial losses and have been trying to keep it afloat as the coronavirus pandemic compounds its long-standing problems. Administrators published a restructuring plan in June, but more than 10 billion rands required for it to work has not materialized since the airline's creditors approved it back in July. If the fines flow early enough, they then eliminate the need to deal with the issue of the wind down or liquidation. Administrator Siviwe Dongana told the creditor meeting called to discuss the funding issue on Friday that the airline has received further communication from government with the support of the National Treasury that indicates that there is a very clear cabinet commitment to provide funding to South African Airways to the tune of 10.5 billion South African rands. Dongwana added that this week the administrators would advise creditors and other affected parties about the outcome of further talks with the government on the time frame for SAA funding. As we continue with our stories, we also want to thank you for those that are watching us through our social media platforms, of course, and those that are watching us on Channel 500 on Starset, and of course our viewers all across the African continent, all the way from Cape to Cairo. If you're in the West, East, North, and Southern Africa, we are still saying good morning to you as we continue with the news bulletin. The Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula outlined the international travel restrictions as the country embarked on alert level 1 of lockdown. Mbalula said that the international traveling regulations will be totally different from the domestic traveling. He said that there will be more emphasis on regulations and rules which will remain in place. He said on board there will be no sanitizing and social distancing on board. Now let's have a look at that.
International travel will be totally different from domestic. We are going to put more emphasis on when you apply for your visa, that will include 72 hours, you know, like yellow fever. When you go to any of these countries, third world countries, they want yellow fever to be part of you. In this instance, it's going to be 72 hours, among others, things which will announce a list of all other things this coming week. 72 hours testing, and the test that proved that you are negative. And coming down, when you touch down, you bring that. And also, we will undertake some measures of testing. Rules are going to be rules, and they are strict. Even now, we are strict. I mean, you don't have a mask, you don't board. All what we don't do on board, which is what people must understand, we're not doing social distancing on board the airline. Secondly, we don't do sanitizer. That's why at the airport, there is sanitizer every corner. But you sanitize before you...
Just a point of correction in there. Of course, the minister said there will be more sanitizing and, of course, social distancing will be observed on board. He further elaborated and said the following.
That airlines are capacitated with what is called high efficiency particulate, which is called HEPA on board, and that mitigates. And the HEPA, what it does is that as you are on board, it does mitigate in the sense that whatever virus that is airborne inside the aircraft, it is able to actually deal with that. So when I explain it, I say that it eats the virus, and which is what it does. We know that scientists are saying to us that COVID-19 is now airborne. It can stay on air for about 5 seconds. HEPA is able to deal with that. It's one of the mitigation we have actually introduced. It's not something that you can see, unfortunately. So all of those measures are actually introduced for airlines. Over and above that, airlines are actually, they do what is called cleaning on board and disinfection effectively. Before you embark and when you disembark, the airline is actually being disinfected, which is something that was not happening in the past, but this is
Yet another point of correction there. I was speaking to my producers at the back, and I'm like, how come he says that there will be no social distances and there will be no, sanitizing? Actually, yes, because, in the flights, sanitizers could be actually very dangerous because they are inflaming. They are inflammable. So when you get into the plane, there will obviously be no sanitizing at all. What will be there, of course, you will get to be sanitized prior to boarding the plane, and inside the plane, of course, now the flights will be using their full capacity. So it means that people will obviously have to still stick with their mask on as you fly, which is quite a very difficult thing to do. But for the sake of our health, of course, we have to adhere to those regulations. As we continue with our stories, the Police Minister Bheki Cele on Saturday night joined Operation Okaimolabu's final raid on lockdown Level 2 in Ekurhuleni. During the raid, the authorities discovered over 30 illegal firearms and arrested over 20 people for drinking and driving. Now, the Minister Cele said that the parts of Ekurhuleni Metro still remain troublesome. The Minister also revealed that one of the drivers was caught carrying a gun and had a license. However, he was drunk. He said that the fact that the driver was drunk, it made the firearm to be illegal and he had to be arrested. Now, when we move on, of course, with other stories in there, the ANC study group on defence received a briefing by the Minister of Defence and Military Veteran, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, on Friday evening, the 18th of September 2020. The briefing by the Minister focused on the recent working visit to Zimbabwe undertaken by Minister Mapisa-Nqakula to meet with her Zimbabwean counterpart to strengthen bilateral and military links between the two countries who are both members of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security. The minister also briefed the ANC study groups on the management of COVID-19 funds by the Department of Defense following the release of the first in the series of reports by the Auditor General in response to the President Ramaphosa's request for a real-time audit on management and of expenditure on the COVID-19 relief packages. The minister has also indicated that working a visit to Zimbabwe is now a subject of investigating by the public prosecutor, and her office, of course, is cooperating with the investigation. It is on that basis that the SG resolved that the chairperson of the PC on defense should convene a PC meeting so that the minister can brief the PC, taking into consideration the fact that the matter is investigated by the public protector at the moment. And of course, the minister further said that they support the decision taken by the component of the ANC to pay cost of their travel to Zimbabwe to conduct an important work in support for human rights, adding that they are dismissing the call made by the Democratic Alliance that the extra cost should be made to the ANC as the jet was not on its way to Zimbabwe. She said that the trip was already scheduled, whether the ANC delegation was on board or not. The jet was on its way for the minister's bilateral meeting. Now, moving on with our stories, the Workers' Union NEHAWU has accused Limpopo Premier Sten Mathabata of paying lip services to fraud and corruption. This follows the transfer of his spokesperson, Kenny Mativa, to Social Development Department after he was found guilty of submitting fraudulent travel claims during a disciplinary hearing last year. NEHAWU spokesperson Norman Mahunga says that a premier should step down as he's failing to deal with corruption in his office and the provincial government. According to Mahunga, the removal of Mativa FK to Social Development is nothing but a foil to hide a fraudster and the person who has brought the name of the office of the Premier and the provincial government as a whole into disrepute. Mahunga says that the Premier doesn't walk the talk, but laments at the fraud and corruption. Now, it's time for us to take a very, very short break. When we're coming back, we have got MAKHETHI with her coaching to let us, in every other beautiful Monday morning to keep your spirits going. And of course, we are on level 1 today so that you would get to know what you need to do on this beautiful week, of course, as we are continuing to celebrate our heritage. Please to stay with us.
Hello. The fourth industrial technology era has forcefully changed how every profession has been working for its clients. The world has become smaller than what we used to think. Imagine the ease of talking to a person who is in Australia, China, or Germany while you are in South Africa, as if you're just next door. The ease that globalization and the fourth industrial technology have brought to humanity entail doing business anywhere in the world as long as you have the purpose and the means. It is our expertise as MB Chabangu Incorporated to advise clients immigrating to South Africa on various permits and on opportunities for travelers who intend to sojourn in South Africa for a longer period of time.
Nítorí náà ìmọ̀ wa ní ìsìlọ̀ àti òfin àgbáyé ṣe wá ní ọ́fíìsì àkókò lórí àwọn ìṣòwò ilé àti ìgbaniláyé láti gba ìwé ìrìnnà fún iṣẹ́ okòwò.
Ho MB Chabangu Incorporated re ba eletsi dinotari le basebedisi le di-office tša rena kua Pretoria, Johannesburg le Bloemfontein. MB Chabangu Incorporated e humanega ga bonolo go bareki ba rena. Go humana tlhagiso leseding ka botlalo re kgopela le re leletše mogala go 012 341 4187 goba le re ngwalele lengwalo tsebile go admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated, mo mathata a humanago tharollo.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful!
This is exactly what I was looking for!
DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
Welcome to MAKHETHI Mondays on Pan-African Mornings. It's Keti, we're here, your confidence coach. That is MAKHETHI to you, and happy greetings, Africa. Monday is my favorite day. And today it's even more so, because not only are we tackling what Heritage Month reminds us in terms of our confidence, but we're exploring today, where have you been hiding? Yes. I'm going to repeat. Where are you hiding? Why am I saying that? What's bringing me to this topic now? Well, in South Africa, we are only now getting a chance to go back to breathing, slowly going back to normal, because now, yay, we're excited. In this part of Africa, we're finally in level 1 of the lockdown. It has been an intense 6 months, a shocker of a 6 months. That has given some people the opportunity to introspect, to ask themselves, am I being who I really am when I am out there outside of my home? Am I really true to what I am about and what I value when I'm out there? And they've also, in that introspection, had the time to face the scary things about themselves, because, oh no, when you're with yourself without the opportunity to go anywhere else, mingle with other people, take on the facade of different characters, you are with yourself 24/7, you face some flaws, some discomforts. So today, that's why we are unpacking, where are you hiding? Let me give you some background about where this topic comes from. Besides being an online course for confidence coaching, it is a matter of concern for most of us, because this trend of I will be version A of MAKHETHI when I'm at church, I will be version B of MAKHETHI when I'm at work, I will be version C of MAKHETHI when I'm in a new space, has left us with the dilemma of, who am I when I'm alone? So if you're that person who's wondering, who am I? What am I about? Today's segment is just for you. So this is where you are hiding. Let's just answer that. Where you are hiding is in the expectations of what society has for you. Unfortunately, that's where you're hiding, right? Let's make an example. If you are a husband, what is society expecting of you? Well, society is expecting of you to bring in the money all day, every day. Society is expecting you to be a hero. You know, I mean, even this makes me laugh, but even the basics of a burglar comes into the house, the man is expected to just go into superhero mode and know what to do, right? That's a petty example, but society has many. Let's look at another example. You are a wife. What's expected of you? You're expected to say yes. Will do what you think to your partner. Yes, will do what you say to your partner with very minimal consideration and deliberation and discussion. Just go with what is being said. Let's look at another example. When you are in the workspace and you are just before the leadership rank, what's expected of you? To just go with what the leader says. Don't question it. Don't bring forth your ideas. We're just talking here with the general expectations. So then what happens? You then hide in these expectations we have of you, because that gives you freedom of never having to explore what you actually want, never having to explore what you actually value. You just go with what we want from you. That's why you find yourself left with the dilemma of who am I and what I'm about. Okay, now we've discussed where you are hiding. So how do you free yourself from that? How do you free yourself from the expectations we have of you? Because you can't go to each and every one of us and tell us, please pause your expectations. I'm no longer interested in what you think I should do. No, you can't control what we want from you. You can't control how we feel about how you should relate to us. But what you can control is how you are now meeting that expectation. Because right now the standard is that you do, give what we want. But the flip side of that is that you decide what you want to bring to the various relationships, right? But obviously this is now for somebody, I hope you have your pen and paper. This is an every Monday thing on MAKHETHI Mondays here on Pan African Morning, right? For you to know what to do going forward. So what you're going to put down as a task for yourself is for you to decide, how do I want to relate in these situations? So let's pretend it was the ideal world. There were no expectations, because you can't change those. What would you like your participation to be? Let's go back to the examples I made earlier. So you are a man, right? You have accepted that you don't like the expectation of you are provider. You are Mr. Dollars, Rands, funds, left, right, and center. That's okay. So what do you want to bring to relationships, to parenting? Do you just want to be the person who ensures that everybody is happy, everybody's comfortable, everybody knows how to manage conflicts, everybody's aware of their strengths? That's a fun one. I'm just throwing around ideas here. I don't know what you want to bring. Let's look at the other example we started off with, which was as a wife. Now that you decide to free yourself of our expectations as society, I don't know where society sat in the boardroom and agreed on these things, but we all know that they exist. Now you're deciding that because you're going to free yourself, you are now going to relate differently as a wife. You are going to, instead of what's been said for you, be an ear, be an idea bouncer. You share your ideas, you come forth with your leadership skills, and also express your own dreams and follow them. Right? And even in the workspace, you are going to decide, what are my career goals? Because when you are in a position where you embrace who you are, your confidence comes alive. That's what I'm about, right? As a confidence coach. When your confidence comes alive, it means that even in the workspace, you are not waiting for opportunities to come up before you pursue them. You have your own career development plan. That is what I want to pursue. That's my next step within my career, so that you know what steps to set in place to go there. Now, in closing today, for the rest of September, we will be continuing with how is confidence your heritage, how you are living it out now, and how you are in a position to leave behind a legacy for those that come after you. So to wrap up today, where are you hiding? These are my last words. Make sure that it's all for you, because in the end, you are actually serving us if you are true to who you are. That's all I have for today as your confidence coach. Until next week, Monday, goodbye, Africa.
Tech Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
Welcome back again. If you have just joined us, we welcome you. Now, let's just give you the news headlines before we give you that little bit of MAKHETHI Mondays that we've been talking about. Practitioners weighing options following the 10.5 billion pledge to rescue South African Airways. And Nehawo accuses Limpopo Premier of paying lip service to fraud and corruption. And Commission of Gender Equality takes on IAF on Semenya's case. The newer international stories, of course, the U.S. has ordered a ban on Chinese-owned video app TikTok. Now, let's look into what from back on what MAKHETHI was saying. A lot of people, of course, they suffer from, multiple personalities. When you are in church, you are known as Umzalwane, and the next thing, Ekasi, they know you as Ipanzula, Liabhlaba, you know those things. And then at work, you are known by that professional. So, figure out who are you when you are alone. Now, that person, that's the person you obviously have to work on. I think she made a very powerful statement in there to say, find out on who you are when you are alone, because you might have different personalities from, your holy guy to the no-nonsense guy and stuff like that. Even people maybe at the gym, they know you as someone else. Maybe you are all reserved and wherever, and at the gym, they know you as a different person. So that's very, very important. And I think it's something that we all have to do. Figure out on who you are when you are alone, because that person is not diluted. That person has no filter. That person is the real you when you are alone. You know, the person that you are, that you don't pretend. But anyway, there are other people, though, we must say, that sometimes they get to be a little crazy, that they end up creating ideas on who they are in their mind and ending up believing in their own lie and believing they are somebody that they're actually not. So yeah, that's one of those things. But let's take you to the rest of other news that we have for you this morning. The Department of Basic Education has issued notice to all teachers who were granted concession to work from home during the worldwide lockdown to return to work today. This comes as the country moved to alert level 1 as of this morning. By the end of August, all learners had to return to school amid the adherence to strict social distancing and hygiene guidelines. Some about 22,500 teachers were granted concessions to work from home as the country battled the coronavirus pandemic, and substitute teachers were employed in their absence. The department spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga says that the management must fulfill the contract with all substitute teachers. He said that this is because the collective agreement between teacher unions and the department will cease to exist at the midnight of the 20th of September 2020. Mhlanga said that they are requesting that schools continue to meet their contractual obligations towards the substitute teachers until such time them that their contracts have expired. But they could also find other ways of utilizing the services of the substitute teachers. The Teachers Union SATU said that educators who are not ready to return to school on Monday will have to apply for a normal leave. Now, as we look into this, of course, some of these teachers that were asked to stay at home were the teachers that are having underlying conditions that could be at a very high risk should they be, returning back to work. COVID-19 is still not yet, of course, finished. So it's a little bit of a challenge, of course, to having to see those teachers going back to school with no, further, protection in their lives. So now let's hope that their union will be able to fight this until they are sure that they will be protected from any of those. Moving on with our stories, the Minister, Mamabolo Kubai Ngubane, is encouraging South Africans to visit various attractions sites, especially the national parks during this tourism month. Kupai Ngubane wants South Africans to now get out and enjoy their beautiful country. She says that this would help preserve jobs and businesses throughout the drive along the Tsitsikamma section of the garden route in the national park. The minister appealed to South Africans to welcome and protect international tourists.
Tourism is one of the pillars of our economic growth, and therefore let's preserve the jobs, let's preserve the businesses so that we can be able to have a thriving nation with everybody working and being able to put food on their table. We do not want to see the old incidences where tourists are attacked. We do not want to see the old incidences where tourists are not feeling safe in our country.
National parks are really the melting pot of the natural heritage, cultural heritage of our country. So we have everything that if you are interested in adventure, if you're interested in safari, you are interested in cultural heritage, we have it all in national parks. But we are making an effort in introducing a number of opportunities for Black South Africans to also visit national parks. For instance, in the next coming weeks, we'll be launching the Stokvel packages.
Let's take a very short commercial break. When we're coming back, we are going to be speaking to the event organizer, Mr. Chakale, right here on Galaxy Universal Network, Channel 500 on StarSat. Please do stay with us.
Tech Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
Feel the heat.
Hold on. To make it through this journey alive, you're gonna need
stand there, kill someone!
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
Hello. The fourth industrial technology era has forcefully changed how every profession has been working for its clients. The world has become smaller than what we used to think. Imagine the ease of talking to a person who is in Australia, China, or Germany while you are in South Africa, as if you're just next door. The ease that globalization and the fourth industrial technology have brought to humanity entail doing business anywhere in the world as long as you have the purpose and the means. It is our expertise as MB Chabangu Incorporated to advise clients immigrating to South Africa on various permits and on opportunities for travelers who intend to sojourn in South Africa for a longer period of time.
Ayé náà ti kéré ju èyí tí a rò lọ. Nítorí náà, ìmọ̀ wa ní ìsìlọ̀ àti òfin àgbáyé ṣe wá ní ọ́fíìsì àkókò lórí àwọn ìṣòwò ilé àti ìgbaniláyé láti gba ìwé ìrìnnà fún iṣẹ́ òkòwò.
Ho MB Chabangu Incorporated re ba eletsi dinotari le basebedisi le di ofisi tsa rena kwa Pretoria, Johannesburg le Bloemfontein. MB Chabangu Incorporated e humanega ga bonolo go bareki ba rena. Go humana tlhagiso leseding ka botlalo re kgopela le re leletse mogala go 012 341 4187 go ba le re ngwalele lengwalo tsebile go admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated mo mathata a humanago tharollo.
It's very, very funny when you work with crazy people, I must say, that even though you're not feeling good, they say, oh, no, go ahead, read news, and then you can die after. You know, moving on with our stories, of course, the Commission for Gender Equality says that it will engage with government, including President Cyril Ramaphosa, as well as the United Nations, to ensure that that what it calls discriminatory regulations of the International Associations of Athletics and Federation are not implemented. The Commission, along with Human Rights Commission, have resolved to embark on a joint global and national advocacy campaign in support of Caster Semenya and all black female athletes. This comes after Semenya lost her appeal to Switzerland Federal Supreme Court against the restrictions of the testosterone levels in female runners.
If you look into this situation, you could see it's directed to Asians and Africans, which is now, to me, is like, if you don't want us in that organization, you should just be saying, this organization is meant only for Europeans or Americans or whatever that you may call it. You get what I'm saying? Than saying these other women, they are not biologically women, which is an insult. This is about the human rights because it involves a lot of things. Because now when you're going to talk about one is human body, then you're going to deny them their right to be themselves. I think it becomes a problem. But obviously there are other things that you cannot control. When you're going to talk about the organizations, you're going to talk about courtrooms, you don't know who is in there, and then you don't know who's in whose sides, which is something that you cannot control. We can shout as much as we can, but then obviously if the system itself is not under a well, structure, it's going to be a problem. There'll always be, one person that will pull out, which is, of course, if one pulls out, of course, it's not going to give you the results that you want. But that's not really important about those results. What's important is that when you get the support all over the world, when you get the support, from, organizations like UN, and then if you get the support, around the world from women in sports, you name it, any department, it means a lot. It means that, hey, we have a say, We're not going to watch people, stop us, from being who we are because you want to establish rules and then you violate someone's privacy, if it's not right, it's not right, you understand? So we're going to keep fighting, for young ones, of course, because this is all about the young ones. We want to alter that and open those opportunities for them so they cannot face what.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that this fight could be carried on because really, as we said earlier, that, having to subject these guys with us, it's obviously taking them out of what they are born as. This is literally just, removing them on who they are, changing who they are, which is really, really unfortunate. And it's something that I don't think it should be allowed to happen. So the fight must carry on. And we hope that Caster and the rest of other ladies, of course, that are facing these testosterone drop, medication to be given to them must continue with the fight. Moving on with our stories, now going to Botswana. The Botswana's former leader, Ian Khama, says that the people of Zimbabwe have shown tremendous resilience in the face of the brutal regime. He says that the neighboring country is in crisis. Khama said that 40 years after independence in Zimbabwe, the only thing that has changed is the name of the country and the leaders. Explaining furthermore that he said that the issues in Zimbabwe are not just minor challenges, that it is visible by the often usage of the word crisis by ZANU-PF officials. Khama took part in a meeting to discuss the situation in Southern African nation. The webinar also tried to chart a way forward. Recently, an ANC delegation met with the country's ruling ZANU-PF in an attempt to find a permanent solution in Zimbabwe.
Abductions, incarcerations of journalists, politicians from other parties, lawyers, and many other people, and still many Zimbabweans moving outside the country as a result of all this, clearly indicate that today, 40 years since independence, the only thing that has changed is the name of the country and that of its leaders. In plain English, there is a crisis in Zimbabwe, not just challenges, with extreme difficulty, all man-made, and growing in intensity and long-lasting. That's why that ZANU-PF official used the word crisis almost 14 times at one stage, more than any other word in that briefing. A leader has one responsibility and one only, and that is to mobilize and motivate programs and policies in the best interest of citizens and not in their self-interest. People's lives matter.
While we are still in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe National Editors Forum is calling on SA, or rather on SADC, and the AU to intervene in the country's political crisis. This follows as the attack on journalists at the Student Union media briefing. Human rights activists believe the attackers are part of the state militia. The journalists were attending a media briefing following an abduction of a student in one of the universities in the country when a group of men approached them and attacked them, demanding their equipment and forcing the briefing to cease. Some journalists needed medical attention and were sent to the nearby hospital after sustaining injuries from the attack.
It was just another day on the job for the 8 journalists. They were covering claims by a student union leader that Impala car rental agents is complicity in kidnapping and torture. The union believes the company loaned out a vehicle used in the abduction and torture of Bulawayo student Tawanda Muchehiwa. Midway through the briefing, a group of men arrived at the venue, attacking journalists and thrashing their equipment. Some had to be treated in hospital.
I was hit on the head twice by these guys. The other guys lost the cameras and phones and other valuables. So we had no way to run.
The Editors Forum says police stood by, doing nothing. It's now demanding that regional bodies intervene urgently.
Journalism in Zimbabwe is being criminalized. Okay. So we are saying journalists in Zimbabwe are not safe. It's one of the things that actually show that there's a crisis in this country. If you are going to attack journalists and then you go and tell the ANC that there is no crisis in Zimbabwe, it's stage managed.
Meanwhile, the student leader Takudzwa Ngadziwore, who was addressing the briefing, was arrested on charges of promoting violence. He has been remanded in custody and his bail ruling is expected this week.
Now joined, of course, on our Zoom interview, we are joined by Umnumzane Uchakale. He is an event director. Of course, he is going to be speaking to us with regards to the issues that he's having with the Limpopo government regarding the events that he has organized for. He's a festival director, rather, with some of the festivals that he has organized for the departments back in Limpopo. However, he still hasn't been paid, and even when the court ruled and say that he must be paid with immediate effect, and still no payments has been made so far. I say a very good morning to you and a warm welcome to Galaxy Universal Network.
Good morning. Good morning.
I must say, of course, a lot of people, they know you from, your big events. You're organizing the likes of your Makufers, events that are annual events and many other events. Maybe first and foremost, a very quick introduction as to what are some of the biggest events that you have embarked on, that you got to put together up to these dates.
Okay, I'll name a few. We organized Thabo Mbeki's inauguration in 2004, as well as Freedom Day celebrations in front of the union buildings. I've also organized the 30th anniversary of June 16 uprisings in Soweto, as well as the 50th anniversary of Women's March in front of the union buildings in 2006 as well.
And of course, the famous Makufe that we have already spoken about.
That's right. I've been with Makufe. This would have been my 19th year organizing Makufe.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So we understand that Limpopo government is owing you a lot of money. How did it come to that stage? I understand, of course, that, the Department of Arts in Limpopo, we understand that obviously, government, when they are making payments, they don't pay immediately. It usually takes about 90 days. Was that the case? Was this what you agreed on? And what happened?
No. When we signed the contract, everything went well until there was a reshuffle and another younger MEC took over. And then when she came in, she changed the terms of the contract, what we have agreed on. She removed certain programs and put in her own programs, and that changed the contract. And when they had to pay me, because now the contract had more money than they had budgeted for, they denied that the contract has changed, and they wanted to pay me on the basis of what we had agreed on initially. And that is the bone of contention. And then I took the matter to court, and the judge agreed with me that they had changed and that they needed to pay based on the new contract.
Yeah. So before these changes were made, were you called and, the discussion was made and the agreements were made that now, Mr. Chakal, we are going to change the terms of your contracts and therefore this is what it means with regards to your payment?
We had a meeting with the officials of the department.
Yes.
And that was the 7th of November. And we then agreed on the changes and the new budget.
Yes.
And I was very clever. I then requested them to issue me with a purchasing order because they had already paid a certain amount prior to that.
Yes.
And they issued the purchasing order the following day. And on the basis of that purchasing order, it convinced the judge that because they had already paid the first amount, and
yes.
this purchasing order indicates that once I deliver, they are going to pay this balance. That's what convinced the judge that I was correct.
Yeah,
yes.
So the court order, of course, ordered them to pay the money. Have they paid anything after the court order have ruled that they need to pay?
They haven't paid a cent. The court order was, the judge made an order on the 30th of July.
Yes.
And normally government policies that they pay within 30 days.
Yes.
But they haven't paid.
So what are the repercussions of that?
Look, they indicated they will pay end of the month because they were still asking for permission. They didn't have this money in their budget, and they are hopeful that Treasury will agree to them paying. So they will do that by the 30th of September. If they don't do that,
yeah. Also what it means to your relationship, of course, with the department, if you now get into a space where you have to take each other to court, does this mean that maybe your relationship has been dented, or it is business that has to happen?
With the Limpopo government, you know, politicians do not take kindly to being taken to court.
Yeah.
So obviously they will unofficially blacklist you. You know, it's not official because by law they shouldn't do that. But I took them to court in 2017, but I continued to work in another department in the Free State without a problem. So there wasn't a problem to say I've taken another arm of government to court, so therefore there's a problem. So no, I continue to work.
Now, of course, we are on level 1. Oh, okay, that's good. We are now on level 1. Now, yes. It's slowly but surely getting to business as usual. What are other events that we might be expecting? I mean, even though we have a very short period of time to the festive season, what is on your bag in terms of gigs that has to happen and that we must prepare ourselves in our dancing shoes to go and attend?
Yes, we had an annual event that we do in August called Tribute to Women.
Yes.
Obviously, we couldn't do that event. We hope to do that event in March next year.
Yes.
Because March the 8th is International Day for Women.
Oh, yes.
That is the International. South African Day for Women is the 9th of August.
Yes.
But even level 1 as it is now, the restrictions do not allow outdoor festivals because 500, maximum of 500 is not viable to do the event in an open park or stadium.
Yes.
So basically the 500 is basically for theaters and conferences, you know.
Yeah.
So we're still waiting to see more restrictions being lifted.
Yes.
And we're hoping that by March we should be able to host our event that we have
on its full force. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Mr. Chakale, and we wish you all the best, of course, with your payment with the department. And please do let us know how you go about that. Of course, we have also tried to contact the department to try and figure out on what is a hold-up at this moment. We couldn't get a response from them, but we are going to also continue as a broadcaster to make a follow-up and give them rights to respond, of course, on this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now it's time for us to take a very short break. When we're coming back, we've got more news and updates for you right here on Galaxy Universal Network, Channel 500 on StarSat.